morning, PASW family and friends. Happy Wednesday. It is a Motivational Wednesday day. And we're going to take today and look at an interview between two wonderful actors, which I will tell you who they are after we do some moving and grooving, okay? So let's get to some moving and grooving today. Guys, let's move to stop. All right, guys, good. Shake that out. Take a deep breath. The way you do the thing you do by the Temptation, the great Motown song, and it's a great song about love. I wanted to play that today because the interview I'm going to share with you today for Motivational Wednesday is between Kevin Bacon and Kyra Sedgwick, two wonderful actors, producers, directors. They work together and separately. I worked in film, television, and theater as actors, producers, and directors. And this interview, they talk about their lifelong marriage. They've been married for over 35 years. Kevin Bacon was born on July 8th, 1958, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Kyra Sedgwick was born on August 19th, 1965, in New York, New York. So they just talk about their marriage, working together, supporting each other, and the ups and downs of their careers. That would be a great interview for a Motivational Wednesday. So let's go. And they also talk about the most recent project where Kyra directed Kevin and Space Oddity. So let us go to the interview, and then I will see you on the other side.
It's really so stupid and simple, but I think that some people will understand.
She thinks I'm stupid and simple.
No. No, is that, if he says he's going to meet you on the corner of 86th Street and Broadway on the northwest side of the street, at 2:05, he's going to be there. If he's not there, something happened, And for someone who didn't have a lot of people showing up in the right way at the right time, in times that they said they would, it's the world. But other than that, he's one of the most...
That was good, you can stop there.
That was good. Okay, I'll stop there. Stopping.
Can't run this place much longer. I was thinking I'd sign it over to you.
I'm going to Mars.
You're not actually going, Alex.
I am going.
But I'm giving this to you.
I don't want it.
What I feel about the movie is that it's got all these like really great hidden subliminal messages, like in like a great container of just entertainment and romance and beauty and, dysfunctional family dynamics, which is always my jam.
You're making a fool out of yourself. Out of all of us.
Why do you even care?
I do think that one of the big messages is that, we're gonna have problems wherever we go. Wherever you go, there you are. And even if you go to Mars, you're still gonna be struggling with the same stuff. I think that, you know, the concept of going to Mars for me is very much a metaphor for thinking that there's a planet B, as well as like a life B. And I think it's very resonant to, you know, to talk about that right now, especially with what we're dealing with climate here. And I think that everybody learns something. I think this is a family that, you know, something catastrophic has happened in this family that you don't know really until much later on, and they've kind of fractured and gone all the way in their different corners, which happens often in families, you know, when tragedy hits. And the goal is, you know, to come back together and to understand that, like, we desperately need each other, we desperately need the earth, and then there's like this wonderful romance, and to me it was a real love letter to the planet, and I think that was sort of the biggest picture idea for me. It's always been really easy to direct Kevin because, I mean, he's brilliant, first of all. And he takes notes really well, although he doesn't necessarily like notes, he will take them well. But, you know, I mean, look, we didn't have any trailers, we didn't have anything, you know what I mean? And I think that the fact that he was okay with everything made it okay for everybody else on set to be like, okay, there's no trailers.
I think if my wife wasn't the director, I probably would have been a little more cranky.
Yeah, right, exactly. But yeah, I love directing Kev.
Kira, I think, has had good times acting and bad times acting, and sometimes I think has, you know, in a way, had some challenges sort of navigating the mother actress thing, because a lot of times an acting job is something that takes you away from your children. Don't put words in your mouth.
Yes.
And when she started directing, our kids were already, you know, pretty much cooked and out of the house. And I've never seen her unhappy on a set when she's directing. She just absolutely adores doing it. And you can't help being a crew member or a cast member not to just kind of get swept up in that.
I love everything about it, truly. I love being in charge of the storytelling. I love to see everyone get excited by a shared vision. I love making a safe space that feels important. And I love people feeling appreciated and seen. And I think that, you know, you really win all the way across the board when you acknowledge people's hard work and understanding what they do. And I think that comes from being an actor for so long and really understanding soup to nuts what everybody does and appreciating what everybody does. And I love, most of all, bringing out the best possible performances in the actors. And I really think that's my sweet spot. I loved his work. I mean, I knew him from theater in New York. I mean, I hadn't seen his movie work. He's still to this day.
Well, it's a corny story. You want to hear the corny? And it's actually a true story. Is that her mother was a theater buff, New York, they're born and raised in New York, and would go to the theater a lot. I was doing a lot of off-Broadway, and kind of like one after another. And she had seen me in a couple of plays and said to Kira when she was 12, there's this actor that I think you should see because I think he's good. And she got tickets to a play that I was in that her and her brother went to. And her and her brother ran into, I was in a deli in between the matinee and the evening performance, and she said, he said to her, go up and tell him. Kira said, you know, that's the guy from the play. And so this little girl came up and said, I thought you were really good in the play. That's actually the first time that we met, technically.
He didn't remember though. When we worked together, I was like, do you remember I came out to you when I was 12? He was like, no, I don't remember. And then I watched his career, obviously, as years went on, and I actually screen tested for a bunch of movies that obviously I never got. And then when we went to go work together, I was like, oh, we were meant to work together. Like, I literally remembered what happened was on Lemon Skies, he fell out of the project for a minute. I got cast, I auditioned, I got cast. I knew he was doing it. Then he fell out for a minute and somebody else was gonna replace him. And I was like, I think he's gonna come back. Like, I have this feeling that he's not gonna not do this with me. And then he did And then he did do it with me, and then, you know, we fell in love.
Carol, it's gorgeous.
But in the beginning, I was like very standoffish, but then, you know, just a couple of weeks later, we had dinner one night, and that was it. That was like it. It was a nice dinner. I opened the menu and said, "I can't believe these prices," and he instantly fell in love. I was like, "Oh my God, this place is really expensive."
Wow, a girl that actually looks at the prices.
She's a keeper.
I'm gonna marry her.
I'm gonna marry her. Yeah, exactly.
She was a knockout. I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, you know, like that, it sort of was shallow in that kind of way. But I also knew that I could also tell immediately, and this would definitely have been a deal breaker, that she was an amazing actress. And I just don't know that I would have gotten into a relationship if I wasn't completely enamored with her work and with her, you know, on-set sort of vibe and professionalism. And I could see how she was taking the work so seriously. You know, back then she had like really like big notebooks of like things she was writing notes and stuff, and I was like, what the hell is that? She's like, I'm working on my character. I was like, I gotta start doing that. I gotta jump on that, man. Yeah, I think it was that combination of things, and then there's a whole other, you know, kind of level of connection that is really hard to even put into words. For me, as your family starts to grow, so does the pressure or the responsibility that you feel for supporting them. All of a sudden, you go from being an actor, living in New York, and, you know, sort of approaching things 100% from the standpoint of just art and just creating, and then all of a sudden you go, yeah, but I gotta pay for school and I gotta do these other things. So for me, I think there was a lot of time in I guess we're talking about the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Where like things in my mind were not going well career-wise, and I think that my issues with that were exacerbated by the fact that I felt like I was, you know, had to provide. Not that Kira wasn't working too, but I think that I just naturally have that sort of male point of view where,
Yeah.
you know, I gotta go out and chop wood.
I didn't think it was hard at the time, but I think what was hard was that sometimes we were single parents. Like if he was working, I was a single parent. If I was working, he was, I mean, even if it's just like all day with the kids, you know, you're a single parent. I think that's kind of hard. I think that, I think we've always been each other's biggest support and fan, so I don't think that there's like a resentment that grows when the other person's, because we're like, oh, thank God one of us is working.
We also did a lot of stuff with just the four of us.
Yeah.
And that has really sustained. I mean, we're very, very close. They have significant others now, but the four of us are still very, very close, and we're very connected, which is something great.
I mean, watching them grow up and like seeing how cool they are and how much I admire them, like utterly, and how they cope with the hard stuff too, you know? I mean, that's a huge part of life. It's not being free from the problem, it's the freedom in the problem. Like somehow, it's like not freedom from the storm, it's freedom within the storm. Like there's some way in which like you can navigate the storm and sort of watch them and go like, God, you know, when things are easy, things are easy. But when things are hard, that's when you learn your coping skills, and I admire the way they walk through life with all of its good, the bad, and the bumpy, you know?
I loved music growing up in Philly, just listening to music all the time. When Kira was pregnant, I started playing guitar to her belly and would, you know, sing. We connected on music like right away when we first met. And then our son, you know, right away made it clear that music was going to be his thing. That was almost immediate. His first word was guitar. It was just it was just there. Sosie has always been musical, but she sort of has come to it a little bit more and has really started to sing a lot more. And so, yeah, it's just something we do.
What it all comes down to
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. It kind of like in lieu of conversation. It's really fun to hang out and play music. Yeah, the sort of performative aspect has really been. Kev's been like kind of, you know, doing that kind of stuff with us, like saying, you know, oh, we should sing this song together, blah blah blah, and you know, and it's ended up being really fun. You know, it's funny because we've been doing the like Oscar rounds and stuff like that. People are like, we love your Instagram. We love you singing with the goats. We're going home. Kevin and I are like, great.
He's been to the
Go
movies
see our
in the last
movies.
40
Go see
years.
or watch our TV show. But you know, it makes people
My
happy.
favorite thing you've ever
done. I know, right?
It's a Philly thing.
I just wrote a song called "It's a Philly Thing" and recorded it. Actually, I don't know, probably 4 months ago. But we partnered with my foundation, 6degrees.org, partnered with this thing called Rock to the Future, which is a Philadelphia-based organization that provides music lessons and instruments to underserved kids in the Philadelphia, where I grew up in Philly. They're doing really well and they're expanding. And my hope is that they could be a rock to the future all over the country. You know?
And you know what I'll say about, generally speaking, about, you know, organizations that serve people that are, there's always somebody worse off than you, always, 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 and there's always something to do. So just pick something, anything, and, you know, get involved.
We just keep rolling along. You know, I mean, we're always trying to plan, but I don't think we do a lot of looking back. And I think we just kind of say, what's up today? You know, that's what we've kind of had to do because our lives are so up in the air. Being, you know, actors and not knowing where you're going to be working next and what your next paycheck is going to be, living the paycheck to paycheck. All those things have made it very hard to just. We don't often stop. We just keep, you know, waking up and saying, what are we going to do today?
I think for the first time in my life, I think I'm proud of us. Like, I'm really proud. I'm like letting myself be proud. I think forever I was just like, well, you know, it's not me, and not, you know, I don't want to boast or brag or whatever, you know.
But I'm on the cover of People.
But on the cover of People magazine, check this out. But I also feel proud. I just feel proud. Like, this is not easy. Like, life isn't easy. You know, building a family is not easy. Living in the world is not easy. And like, I feel proud of us that we're sustaining and that we're trying to put good things out into the world, you know.
Guys, I really hope you enjoyed watching that interview and learning how they've learned to navigate the ups and downs of the business. And that's why I like to share these Motivational Wednesday, because I always find that listening and watching interviews, I may get advice or hear something that I can apply to my own life. I like to call those a takeaway. So what did you take away? And what I took away is being supportive as a friend. It's really important to really support and celebrate my friends in the industry too, and really good things are happening to them. That is one of my takeaways. What was your takeaway? All right, guys, we're gonna end it. We begin it with another love song from Motown, from the Four Tops. I can't help myself. Again, I think it reminds me of Kira and Kevin because in addition to being great actors, they have this incredible love story of the couple, and I love that because I love love. All right, guys, let's do some more moving and grooving. guys, I love you guys so much. You're so amazing. I am in person tomorrow. If you're in person tomorrow, I will see you. And I'll be back with another YouTube on Friday. Have an amazing day.